How come all the other APC candidates submitted theirs? Didn't they?
Well, I'm not into that. I thought we were here to discuss something serious. How we are going to salvage this country.
But you know,
we're not into a non-issue.
It's a rule of any legal.
I see it as a non-issue. You may think it's an issue.
Anything that the law stipulates is very important to this country, and so. But
Chamberlain, it's not about but, because now I'm getting to see a new fight from politicians. They tell the Nigerian people some things are non-issue. First, we had Mr. Shutoku here. He doesn't see any reason why we should talk about corruption. And now you say the certificate issue is a non-issue.
Are you comparing corruption with a certificate issue?
No. Once Nigerians are bothered about any question, whether they're important or not, it behoves the PDP or the APC to answer them, isn't it?
Okay. Final word on this matter. They are debasing the military institution. They're going to speak up in the fullness of time. Let me just leave it that way.
How is it the military? Is it the military? How are they debasing the military institution? If they ask a man to provide these details.
What they are telling us is that they don't have a structure. They don't have a system. They don't have anything.
All right, but
that's what they are telling us. That's the implication of what they are telling us.
Well,
they will be sacked with the nominee when the time comes.
Why should we vote your candidate?
Okay. You have to vote for us because the issue of national security is very important in the life of any nation. As I speak to you now, some parts of this country, have been annexed by a ragtag insurgents, called Boko Haram. And we don't seem to have a clue of what to do. We need somebody who's going to be on the seat, looking presidential, acting as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
What will he do?
Nigerian Army used to be the best army in Africa before now. What has happened? Why do we have mutinies? Why do we have junior officers disobeying as senior officers? The other day I read some junior officers that were condemned to death because they protested and said we asked for weapons, and they condemned us to death. It shows you that what is happening in the economic space has moved into other institutions. And if we do not work hard to rescue Nigeria, it's going to get worse.
Okay, but no pun intended, but you know that democratic dispensation completely different from a military era, because, you still have to go through the National Assembly, all politicians, to pass certain things before the CEC can then deploy or take any military action. So he has to walk through all that, so it's not going to be automatic, as some people think.
He knows.
So you assume that it will be a piece of cake for him to handle that? He knows.
This institution is going to discipline you. Because you face any situation and you have to address it. You have to just face it. You have to deal with the facts on the ground. So it's not an issue. I just talked about national security.
Yes, just a moment before you move away from it. I'm sure that you've also heard the accusation of the president that while your candidate was in power, when he was in power, he didn't buy a single rifle for, the military while he was there. So how can he then claim now, to be saying that he wants to come and rescue these same armed forces, which the president has to deal with because of years of decay and neglect?
He made that statement, and Buhari team came up and listed what he provided when he was the head of state. But I'm not going to talk about that. There's no need for you to start passing bucks. The bucks stop on the president's table. And not anymore. What I expected the president to do was to accept responsibility. Yes, we have failed in this area. Be honest enough. Yes, we have failed in this area.
Did you read the headline that he was quoted to have said, yes, our generation has failed?
I'm just trying to not accept responsibility as a leader.
Well, then he has. The point that Chamberlain is
our generation. Say, I am the head of state. Mr Igbokwe was not the head of state, and I'm not the head of state. I do not pilot the affairs. He is the one.
Did you not think that
say, look,
you're also
for
the part
6
of the
years,
generation?
I have not done what what I'm supposed to do. But give me chance, I'm going to improve. Instead of passing box.
So
this, don't do this.
All the politicians playing now
he was forcing
are not part
himself.
of.
I don't know whether you watched that speech. He was forcing himself to speak. The
Mr.
president
Igbokwe,
was overwhelmed.
I mean, what you see or what you saw is very different from what some other people saw. But, you know...
Didn't you see it?
Do you think...
Didn't you see it?
I did not see what you saw. What I saw was...
You were there live. You were there live.
You saw what you saw.
My station was there. Exactly. You said force right now. You changed your mind. You said he was overwhelmed. The next minute you said
By the problems. Yes, yes. I'm just trying to play with words.
What you see, I mean, perception is very, very different. What I perceive and what you perceive are two different things.
Sorry, I give it to you. Let's just move on.
Let's move on from there. Now, you say that you're not a part of that generation. You think that the president should have admitted responsibility. Now, he took some responsibility by saying that my generation has failed. And it's one comment that a lot of people in your generation make about how that generation has failed a lot of young people. And, you know, it would seem that because it's been repeated so often, it would begin to sound like a statement of fact. Do you think, then, that the rot that we currently experience in many areas of our lives, you know, is as a result of something that has been accumulated? You don't think so?
You solve a problem.
I beg your pardon?
You do not bemoan problems, you address it.
But you have to know where the problems came from. You must be able to pinpoint where your problems are from.
That is your duty.
Wasn't you?
That's your duty to find out. You see, before you even go to vie to be the president of a country, you must have a template. You must have a plan. Because if there's system failure anywhere, you'll be responsible. Let me tell you, one man, General Buhari, is an army commander, was given an order from the superior officer to blow up Paris. He went to Paris and looked at Paris and he said, look, I don't want my name to be associated with a project to destroy the world's most beautiful city. The man who dropped the atomic bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki said, this is a burden I will have to bear for the rest of my life. Somebody gave an order. You take responsibility. It makes you look more responsible. It makes people to sympathize with you. And to say, you wash your hands off.
The point I think the president was trying to make there is that, you know, we're working on it. But when, as people always say, it's very easy to destroy, but very difficult to build back. When you're building something, it definitely takes years. And the point he's been trying to make is that he started the clean out, or started the clean up and the rebuilding process. But you might not see results immediately because of the years of rot that it has taken for us to get to where we are.
Do you know?
Is that a fair comment or isn't it a fair comment?
It's not a fair comment. He's just trying to pass box, you know. And it did not help matters. It did not help matters. You see, for you to have economic development, national security, building of, you know, building human capital, you need to have resources to do that. You need to have money to do those things. That money I'm talking about is in the private pockets, and you have seen it. You saw the gamut of corruption that we have.
Is it not also in the private pockets in the states, at the state level? Are we saying that we're totally accountable in the states that the APC government?
I talk about Lagos. You go to Lagos, you see things for yourself. You may compare Lagos and Nigeria, you will see the difference. But I don't want to talk about it.
And other states.
And some other states. It's not only Lagos that has been very successful, others have been successful too. Given the resources at their disposal, we expected more. Given the fact that what we have earned between 1999 and 2015 is far more, 100 times more than what we earned from 1960 to 1999.
Let us do ourselves a favor and not stop looking at the figures.
No,
we know that figures are not the same thing with the value, and you know that.
It's still, well, given the situation you have now, are you not part of this society? Can't you see what is going on? Look at the man that was speaking on behalf of PDP, the man heading the campaign organization. He has a case with EFCC. And he was pardoned and given this job. What signal are you sending to Nigerians? You're not serious about it. These are the things I want to look at, to see how we can...
He was pardoned. Is that the correct statement?
How we can retrieve the investment funds down in private pockets.
The court cleared him. He wasn't pardoned. There was no presidential pardon for that.
Clear. You know what is going on. We don't want to talk about it. You can tell the court what to do. Court is part of the problem that we're having in this country, even though some of them are still trying to make things work. But the weight of the presidency does not allow them to do their work. It's a matter of just clear him, because they know, just clear him. Yeah, just to clear him, and he will just clear him. The judge will not say no.
Yeah, but we shouldn't say that's a pardon. It's not a pardon.
No, well, I leave that to you. You know.
But you also know the difference between
what I know.
A pardon and if a court clears the case.
Well, you can pardon somebody because you want to achieve something. These are political issues that they don't want us to discuss.
Unless you're telling us something we don't
know. You know a lot as a media person.
No, but you know more as a political
No, you report everything. You see everything. If you leave me now, you can go to Abuja and start talking.
We reported what we saw. I mean, the court...
you're more connected. You have more information than myself.
But we're not actually there for the midnight meetings, remember?
No. There's nothing anybody can do without the press. You know a lot. There's so many things that you know.
All right.
You know a lot and you keep it to yourself because you don't want to rock the boat, So let's just move on. Let's move on.
I'd like to thank you for coming on, Mr. Igbokwe, spokesperson for the APC. We'll be back after the break. Join us again.